And of course, for those who don't know, we do every week on the show, we do choose a subject, a major subject to focus on. That is the main event. Of course, we also do some news stories leading up to that. We usually pick a few. I think this week we're only doing one news story because it's, it's a big one involving the death of Sabu or Sabu. Is it Sabu or Sabu? I keep hearing it pronounced both ways. Sabu.
Sabu.
I mean, I'm tempted to say potato, but I don't want to seem disrespectful. So I will honor the pronunciation that you have designated as being correct, Sabu.
Yes.
And of course, we did cover that last week, but there's new news in that, and the passing of Terry Brunk. Am I saying his last name correctly?
Terrence Brunk. Yes.
And at the age of 60, which is not that old for a wrestler to pass away, unfortunately. But it is young certainly too young. And so we talked a lot about that. I learned a lot from you last week on the show. Actually, I learned a lot from you about his career because, as you know, I was not necessarily a fan. Certainly sad that he passed, but I just never really saw many of his matches. But I did learn a lot about him from you. Yeah, go ahead.
He really, again, I'm not going to rehash everything that was said last week, but he hardcore wrestling before Sabu. I mean, there was Hayabusa and FMW. He was a high-flying hardcore wrestler that unfortunately suffered a very grotesque neck injury in the ring. He went for a middle rope springboard plancha, and right before he jumped, he slipped off the ropes and landed on the top of his head, and his head bent backwards, breaking his neck.
Jesus.
Yeah, just very unfortunate. But other than Hayabusa, in the sense of internationally, Sabu brought high flying hardcore to the United States. He really revolutionized what you could do. Before Sabu, and if I'm wrong, people can correct me. Before Sabu, it really was hardcore was really just kind of Dusty Rhodes, Kevin Sullivan, Dick Slater. They were just brawls and blood and guts. They didn't have the high flying element. Sabu brought that to the States and really made it cool and revolutionary what you could do with tables and chairs and such. I actually had I had myself on Monday a Sabu marathon where I watched just many of his matches on Monday. And a mutual friend of ours, Dirk Don, told me that I needed to mention his contributions to Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that was a thing.
I did too. Juggalo Championship Wrestling is a thing. It's an ongoing thing. It happens. I'm sure we'll mention them down the road. They're kind of big in the Scott Hall story. And somewhat Shane Douglas as well. A lot of the former ECW guys found footing in JCW.
Ah, okay. By the way, I'm sorry if I sound distracted. I'm trying to figure out, because we are doing this live, I'm trying to see if I can get the our Tough Bumps logo to display on the screen for those watching the video. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. It's kind of, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. The Sabu in the corner there, or Sabu rather. I'm sorry I keep doing that. But yeah, so we're going to discuss, I'm just playing with different formats here. So we're going to discuss, I'm sorry to our audio listeners. We'll discuss more about that. No. So what is, Now, in terms of a cause of death of Sabu, we still don't have that. Correct?
No,
The
we do
autopsy.
not.
We don't know the autopsy results.
No, we do not have autopsy results at this point in time. We don't have any of that information. Um, and it will really be up to the family, I think, if that's made public or not. I would think it would be.
Yeah,
Especially with the news that has transpired this week regarding it, because it could absolve some people or be damning to some people.
yeah. So what is well? Let's talk about that. Let's get into it. So what's the news? What has transpired this week in the aftermath of the passing of Sabu?
Well, I mean, really, what we know is Sabu's, and now I'm going to have to do it like this, so-called retirement match,
Yes.
which will have to, there'll be context added to that down the road here, momentarily. Basically, someone on Twitter uncovered a Yahoo Sports article where Joey Janela in Game Change Wrestling promoter Brett Lauderdale essentially said that Sabu had had issues even doing the retirement match at WrestleMania weekend.
Okay.
We can share out the article following this podcast to our followers on the Tough Bumps page so you can read it. Now, so basically, here's what the deal was. I'm going to start reading at the beginning. I'm not going to get in. Matt and I did our journalistic responsibility prior to the show, and we discussed this. We're not, I want to say this, we're not here to pass judgment. We're not here to throw blame, say guilty or innocent. We're just here to present the facts
Yes.
as as we have them and as you all have them. You can form your own opinion. One thing that I would say that we're in agreement that we do not condone is attacking Game Change Wrestling or Brett Lauderdale, or even Joey Janela,
Yeah.
who's involved in this. Um, so we'll start. Basically, uh, the story is kind of a great recap of Sabu's career, but they touch base on this that Sabu had become famous for no showing bookings, including his own induction in the Game Change Wrestling Independent Hall of Fame a couple years ago, and hadn't wrestled at all in several years.
Yeah.
Of course, no showing was in the back of my mind. GCW promoter Brett Lauderdale told Uncrowned shortly after the event. But I felt like Sabu was genuine. And one thing about Sabu I've come to learn over the years is behind all the drama and silliness, Sabu has a lot of pride. And not only did he want to do it, but he wanted to give his best effort. Um,
Yeah.
I'm scrolling down. So basically, it talks about the impossible standards Sabu aspired to live up to. And Lauderdale says he was fully familiar with what the fans have come to know and expect from Sabu. He talked to Sabu
Yeah.
a couple days before the match, and he was telling me, my knee hurts. And this and that, Lauderdale said. And I said, listen, Sabu, everybody knows you're hurting. You're 20 something years older than the last time you did this. People's expectations are realistic. No one is expecting this to be born to be wired. And it needs to be noted that's his iconic no rope barbed wire match with Terry Funk. And he said to me, good, because it's going to be better than that.
Hmm.
Now we go to Joey
Oh.
Janela, his opponent that night, and we were mistaken last week. Sabu did pin Janela, not the other way around.
Okay. So Sabu did
Sabu
go
did,
over. Okay.
Sabu did go over.
Okay.
We alluded to that he didn't, but that was wrong. I was
Okay.
fairly confident that he was fine. Sabu's opponent, Joey Janela, told Uncrowned. I was kept in contact with him and his team, and he has a team of people around him. Guys, this time, they were all saying he was ready to go, that he was going to the gym, that he was on a training program. I believe that till the day of the show, 2 hours before I get a call. Sabu can't walk. What do you mean Sabu can't walk? They said, yeah, Sabu, something with his knee. They're locked up. He can't walk. And his feet are bleeding. He's not coming. Sabu's not coming, I said. Sabu's asked. So we talked to Matt Tremont, another indie wrestler, and Tremont is about to be the replacement for the match. And I feel like this is going to be the most embarrassing moment of my wrestling career. There's 2,000 people here. This is one of the biggest spring breaks ever, the biggest crowd Mania weekend indie wise. And I'm going to have to go out there and announce that Sabu, once again, no showed and no showed his own retirement match. Lauderdale was less concerned. In the back of my mind, I knew Sabu was coming, he said. I never once worried. If we didn't hear from Sabu, then I would be worried. But the fact that he was communicating, I knew he was coming. We are an hour into the show, and I said, just get Sabu here, Janela continued. So they gave him something called Kratom. You can buy it at a smoke shop or something. It's a legal opiate or something. They said he's hopping on the bed. He's hopping off the bed. We're going to get him to the show. So he shows up 2 hours into the show. And I think this is an important part.
Hmm.
Sabu was on a different effing planet. Everyone in backstage was like, what the F is this? What the F is this match going to happen? And my God, did it happen. Moments into the match, this is another key part here.
Okay.
Sabu went for a signature air Sabu dive off a chair, missed Janela, and went chest first into the barbed wire strands, with his head landing and sticking in a giant crate of barbed wire. It was an immediate sign to the audience that this wasn't going to be a nostalgia match, that Sabu was going to go out on his own terms. Then, minutes later, Sabu got whipped into a barbed wire board, which was resting on the barbed wire ropes, and flipped backward onto the ring, out of the ring, landing in a heap. He was definitely out cold. He was done, Janela said. They were telling me there was no way. The refs were communicating to me that there was no way he's continuing this match. Like, holy bleep. That is the one time you want the barbed wire to stop you. He
But
just blew right through it.
Eric, just to now, not to interrupt, but I just want to I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. This is a shoot at this point, right? Like this wasn't part of how the match was being worked, right? This wasn't part of what was planned. Oh, we're gonna make it look like Sabu is really hurt, but he's actually, this is we're working the match. This was legit, like he was legit knocked out.
Yes.
Okay.
According to Joey Janela, when he did this interview, and I gotta say that, and you'll find out why shortly, he was legitimately knocked out. Sandman came out, and he came to when he heard Sandman's music, another ECW wrestler and close personal friend of Terry Brunk.
Okay.
So upon hearing this, I realized that as a pro wrestling podcast, we had a responsibility to A, cover this, and B, take great care in covering it.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to Brett Lauderdale via direct message on X and did not get a response.
Now is he the owner of Game Change Wrestling?
Promoter of Game Change Wrestling.
Okay. Gotcha.
I then sent a tweet to Joey Janela.
Yeah.
As well, because I could not direct message him.
Yeah.
Now, Brett Lauderdale later in the day posted a public response. And if you'll indulge me, Matt, I'll read that now.
Yes. Yes.
As a rule, I try not to respond to every claim made on social media, but sometimes I need to speak up and get on the record. When I received word of Sabu's passing on Sunday, I was devastated. I have known Sabu personally for almost 20 years and been in constant contact with him for the last 2 years. We were friends, and I cared about him and had/have deep respect for him. In the months leading up to the match, I told him repeatedly how much I believed in him and how excited I was for him to finally get his flowers and be celebrated the way he had earned and deserved. He was both nervous and excited, but to give the determined to give the fans one last extreme performance to remember. Any suggestion that I or GCW or Joey Janela forced him to do this match, supplied him with substances, or somehow caused his death is irresponsible, disingenuous, hurtful, and false. It's upsetting and discouraging to see people so eager to cast judgment without knowledge of the facts. I would never knowingly put someone who I believed was a danger to themselves or others in the ring, and my track record shows this to be true. I have pulled people in a public and painful manner from big matches before, sometimes literal moments before a match was to begin, and I would do it again if I had to. I spoke to Sabu moments before the match, and he was Sabu. He was the same Sabu I had encountered in years past, when I participated in his matches as a referee and later as a promoter. He was the same Sabu I met with the following day at WrestleCon, and the same Sabu that made multiple appearances on podcasts and at conventions in the weeks that followed. The truth is, Sabu lived a hard life, both in and outside the ring. He was fearless and reckless, qualities that both endeared him to millions and made us worry about him at the same time. Decades of extreme took its toll, and no matter what we want to believe, no one is immortal. While Sabu will live forever, Terry Brunk will not. And unfortunately, his time has finally come. It's sad, and my heart goes out to his friends and family, and I join them in mourning his loss. I feel lucky and blessed to have known him, and I'm proud to have been able to host his final match. Sabu was a legend, and his impact in our world was immeasurable. He will never be forgotten.
Well, it's a good statement.
Yes, Joey Janela followed later in the day with this. I'm truly devastated over this, and this whole deal has really affected me. Kratom is something Sabu took daily for years. It helped him get off other substances. Sabu loved his weed and kratom. His body was wrecked doing what he loved for 40 years. I did an interview for that article 2 days after the match, not knowing what would transpire. Weeks later, and I said he was knocked out after that spot, when despite being a rough deal, he was not that. I was just trying to add to the lore and unpredictability of Sabu. I love Sabu, and he was legitimately my idol growing up and my friend. I just wanted to give him and the fans one last great Sabu spectacle. I'm sorry for lashing out at you, but your tweet caused a snowball effect that has many people saying I was in part responsible for my friend's death. Sabu was fine after, the day after, signed at WrestleCon, and has been doing many appearances since. I don't know what the cause of death. I don't know what the cause of death. All I can say is I wouldn't change a thing, and happy he went out on top.
Okay. And
And then,
Janela.
go
Yeah,
ahead,
go ahead.
Matt.
No,
You go
I
ahead.
well, because I think my question I was about to ask you, I think relates to where you were headed.
And then Joey Janela posted something that said, "Been called the murderer 1,000 times in the last 24 hours.
This is what this is what I was going to ask you about. Yeah.
If there's a heaven, Sabu is laughing his ass off at me." I
Yeah.
responded to it. Would really like the opportunity to let your side of the story be known on my podcast, sir. Janela Baby responded, LOL.
Well, that's just rude.
It's par for the course with him, I think. Look, in today I saw someone showed Joey an interview where the guy being interviewed stood up for him.
Hmm.
And he said, "Oh, I've only ran into this person a handful of times and we haven't had any meaningful conversation. I'm glad he stood up for me." Here's the deal, and this is between Mr. Janela and myself. And I'm going to try to choose my words very carefully.
Okay.
A man passed away. It is not our job as journalists to show you any form of sympathy, Mr. Janela. It is not our job to show you compassion or stand up for you, as you so eloquently put it. It is our job to tell the facts that have been presented and give you an opportunity to respond, which I did on not one occasion, but two
Uh-oh.
occasions.
We're freezing
This
up here. Oh,
first time you ignored me. The second time you did the social media equivalent of laughing in my face. If you are looking for someone to stand up for you, I only stand up for those people that I know personally, or that it's just so outlandish and so out of bounds that something needs to be said. So that's my take on it. Here on Tough Bumps, myself and Matt, we're not going to stand up for you because we don't know all the facts. And to do so would be greatly irresponsible to our listeners and followers. That's
yeah.
my statement on it.
I also I don't really know much of anything about. I'll tell you the extent of my knowledge of Joey Janela. I'd never even heard of the guy until obviously he was in AEW for a bit, and then there was that thing about when he and Enzo Amore, whatever he calls himself now, encountered each other at a show. Was it
Enzo,
Coachella or something? And they almost got into a fight, but it really wasn't much of a. It really wasn't a fight. Like they never actually connected. But that was like the first time I'd ever even really heard of Joey Janela was because of that. Beyond
yeah.
that, I
So
know nothing of the guy.
sorry, I had to take off my hoodie. It's a little stuffy. Um,
Yeah, no worries.
yeah, and look, I don't in both the wrestling business and journalism. I don't believe in going quote unquote charred earth on someone because you never know. You might need them as a source down the road, or
Sure.
you might have to do business with them down the road. Yeah, it's just dumb and immature, and don't do it. And so I'm not doing it with Mr. Janela here. I am stating that if what he was looking for was sympathy, I, I'm sorry, I don't see a reason for it. Kratom is very dangerous. I read on Mayo Clinic's website, it does cause irregular heartbeat. It does cause arrhythmia. It can cause other issues psychologically
Yeah.
that could be a danger to yourself and to others.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not something to fool around with.
So and now I will segue to the second part of this.
Yeah.
Brett Lauderdale, actually, from all I know, is an upstanding citizen in the world of professional wrestling. He has given Nick Gage multiple opportunities that he otherwise wouldn't have. Nick Gage went to prison for armed robbery.
Yeah.
He came out of prison. Brett Lauderdale was in Game Change Wrestling was the first organization to book him.
Yeah.
He then had a parole violation and went back to prison. And who was the first organization there for Nick Gage when he got out? Game Change Wrestling. There's something to be said for that. That, it's how many times in society do we hear about situations where criminals fall right back into it
Sure.
because they have nowhere to go. Game Change provided that for Nick Gage,
Yeah.
and to a degree, CZW as well. Welcomed him back eventually, I believe. If anyone wants more information on that, the Dark Side of the Ring episode on Nick Gage gives the story. It's on Hulu. Feel free to watch it and enjoy. It's disturbing by all accounts, but nonetheless, um, I know people who promote pro wrestling shows. I actually spoke with one of them. This was off the record, so I'm not going to share their name.
Okay.
They have said that people are saying, how does Brett Lauderdale not know Sabu was under the influence? As a promoter, you have so many irons in the fire on show day.
Yes.
Brett Lauderdale was more than likely saying that he's here, great. I got a match to prepare for. I got cues to get ready for. I got a live stream I'm working on. I got all these other things I have going on. I got to get up to date numbers so I know payouts and everything. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on. I got to get the boys paid and the ladies,
Right.
So there have been instances where guys have went out under the influence, and it's because you don't catch them.
Yeah.
You don't.
You can't necessarily know. Yeah. You can't know what they're doing. You can't know. I mean, obviously, if somebody's stumbling around drunk or something, you're going to notice. But if somebody is under the influence of kratom or some sort of a prescription that they're abusing or whatever it is, pain, because painkillers, we know that's a big problem in professional wrestling, understandably so. There are a lot of things that one could be under the influence of that are just not obvious by simply looking at them.
Right. And, there have been instances, well publicized instances, where these things have happened. Jeff Hardy against Sting in TNA Wrestling.
Yeah.
Bruce Pritchard has talked about it, as has Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
Bruce said he didn't realize it till he was in Gorilla, I believed. And at that point, it was his music playing. And our listeners on this live stream might say that's what I'm about to say is completely ridiculous. And no, it's not. And I'll explain why. Once the music hits, you got to get them out there.
Sure.
There's no turning back. Imagine if Lars Ulrich of Metallica was messed up and Ecstasy of Gold is playing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have James Hetfield go out there and cancel the show. You're going to try your damnedest to get through it. How many times did Axl Rose take the stage messed up with Guns N' Roses?
Now, in fairness, though, it is a false equivalence, because in professional wrestling, and because I fundamentally agree. I mean, obviously, a promoter can't know just by looking at somebody. So I don't want to blame the promoter. However, having said that, in professional wrestling, unlike well, it's different for a couple reasons. One is you expect musicians to be abusing themselves with substances because it's so common. But it's also there's another huge difference, though, and a very important one is in professional wrestling, there's a safety issue, right? You don't want to go out there with somebody who's messed up on something. Like, for example, in the Sting versus Jeff Hardy, they're lucky Sting just didn't say, screw this, I'm out of here, and just walk out of the ring as soon as he saw the condition that Jeff came out in, because somebody could be messed up and accidentally kill somebody. If a musician walks out on stage and they're under the influence of something, well, you might get a shitty performance or whatever. But in professional wrestling, if you have somebody in the ring who's messed up on something, you might end up with they might accidentally kill their opponent or something. There is So I don't want to blame the promoter, but we also can't gloss over the fact that it does matter a lot. The condition that both that all participants in a match that they're in, we want them, we need them to be clear headed and not under the influence of anything when they have to perform and do something that is really very, very dangerous.
And my goal in comparing the two, and you're 100% right, Matt, is just the show must go on element.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean there's more at risk with professional wrestling than a musician going out there.
Yeah.
Because really they're only going to harm themselves. Type deal. But yes, I totally agree. And yes, the Sting situation, how Sting handled that, and Eric Bischoff too,
Mm-hmm.
going out there just saying, pin him and end this
Yeah.
was, I mean, talk about taking chicken poop and making chicken salad. It might have looked awful. It might have been a bad optics, but it was the best choice given the circumstances.
Right. No, I agree.
So yeah, to blame Brett Lauderdale it's wrong, in my opinion. I mean, unless there's something explicitly out there that we don't know yet. Like, did Brett give him the kratom? I mean, there's a promoter out
Yeah.
there known as Ian Rotten who admitted on a podcast to giving a drug addict pain pills for payment for wrestling on a King of the Deathmatch show. And
Oh,
that young
wow.
man died a short time after due to a drug overdose.
I
His
didn't even
name
know
is
about that.
JC. His name is JC Bailey.
Was that recent or was that a while ago?
That was a while ago. I mean, thank
Okay. I
God
didn't even
Ian
know about it.
Rotten.
Wow.
Ian
Yeah.
Rotten doesn't promote shows anymore.
Yeah.
Just he is a herpy on the world of professional wrestling. And if anyone wants to challenge me on that, direct message me. We can have a discussion. And maybe if you want to defend Ian Rotten, you can send me the $150 Ian owes me for buying DVDs. For buying DVDs during a IWA Mid South going out of business sale and paying him PayPal friends and family.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
maybe you can get that to me if you're going to defend him.
Did you ever
But
file a claim with PayPal?
yeah, but because it was friends and family,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, you're
Ian,
SOL.
yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Another, since he got me talking about him, another great Ian Rotten trick, and other promoters have done this. This isn't just subject to Ian Rotten. Indie promoters have done this. He'd have big names booked on his show.
Mm-hmm.
The rule of thumb is that any wrestling match you can only get refunded after you have to leave after the first match.
Mm-hmm.
So Ian would come out after the second match or at intermission and make an announcement that, oh, catastrophic turn of events. So and so had travel issues and they didn't make the show, or they had a family emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've sat here through your mud show, flea market, horse shit, hardcore wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy we paid to see ain't gonna be here.
Yeah.
He did it for guys like CM Punk, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and it came down to he owed them money. And they're like, we're not gonna show till you pay it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a scumbag promoter. And there are many in the annals of pro wrestling history.
Oh,
He
yes.
is one of the biggest ones I have encountered on the indie scene. Guy worked the gimmick table, and while he worked the gimmick table, I was there for this. His scarred head busted open.
We should explain
Okay.
that for people who don't know what I know what you mean, but for people who don't know what you mean.
Well, when wrestlers bleed, newsflash, people, it isn't a blood pellet.
Right.
They blade. They cut their head.
Yeah.
And over time, if you do it enough, you get a lot of scar tissue. That's very beneficial because you can do something as little as slide your fingernail over it and it breaks open.
Ric Flair has done that on television. I remember seeing him
Or
do that where he just
hitting.
punched himself in the forehead and he started bleeding.
Yeah.
Yep.
It happens to MMA fighters if they have a cut that broke open consistently enough.
Yeah.
It happens. Now Egan at this NWA No Limit show is moving merch, talking. He gets up and he stands up, and it was a very hot day at the Masonic Temple where this was held at. He stands up and immediately just blood starts gushing from his head.
Just spontaneously,
Yeah,
wow.
he had
Oh.
taken a paper towel and wiped his head, and a
Oh my
gig
God.
mark had just busted open all over the gimmick table,
Oh my God.
all
Wow.
over the shirts and DVDs he was trying to move.
Wow. So the merch he was trying to sell, did that increase the value of it because it had his actual blood on it? I would think it would.
I stayed away from the merch table after that.
I mean, there's concerns about hepatitis and whatnot. I understand,
Which he is rumored to have.
Well, oh, great. So, yeah.
Whether he has it or not, I don't know. He says he doesn't.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
But if you're a fan, like if you're a true fan, you want some of that blood.
No, that is not true fandom, Matt. That is like sociopathic stalkerdom. That
what
is.
I'm saying. Hey, let's not forget, fan is short for fanatic. And if you're a true fanatic for him, you want some of that blood. Maybe you want some of that Hep C. I don't know.
Oh, man. Ooh, Nelly. That's a tough one.
I mean, I wouldn't want that from anybody, but I'm just saying, if you're a true fan.
That was the joke, though, at the show, is Ian probably soaked it up with 8x10s and jacked the price up by $20.
Yeah. Like I say I said that only half joking. I mean, I'm sure to some people, I mean, with his actual blood on it, I mean, that's, to some people that might have value. That might increase the value.
I stayed away. I went and said hi to Pumpkin Cabana.
Yeah.
And then I was done, which was totally fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is one of the scourges in indie wrestling. The only thing he is known for is the Taipei Death Match in ECW. Where him and Axel Rotten dipped their taped fists in super glue and then put broken glass over their fists and hit each other.
That would not be for me. I don't want to see that match, certainly.
I own it because I have a ECW compilation that it's a part of.
Yeah.
I've only watched it 3 or 4 times, and every time I watch it, I mean, I've seen Caligula 4 times, Matt. This should not be shocking.
Okay. Fair.
I mean, if you can gut through Caligula, you can watch anything multiple times.
I suppose.
I mean, yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, I digress. So, yeah, he's a real scumbag. And so there are scumbag promoters out there.
Yes. Well, we should. So that leads me to thinking about, too. Now, you have defended, of course, Brett Lauderdale. Is that his name?
Yes.
From Game Change Wrestling. But there is an element of this where he may have done something. There may have been
unscrupulous.
Yes. Oh my goodness! By the way, I have to say hi to Melanie La Liberté. in the chat room says, "What the hell are these shenanigans?" You know, Melanie, a huge wrestling fan.
Very much so. You know,
Yes,
I have heard that Melanie was a charter subscriber to the WWE Network.
I have
She paid.
no doubt.
She paid for a year membership to that when it first started.
They don't get much wrestling in Vermont, so probably yes. She says.
Yeah. That
She
I
says,
also.
ooh, wrestling, sweet baby Jesus." That's right.
Hey, you know what? He loves it too. He has
Yes,
many wrestlers in heaven with him.
yes, yes.
Um,
Also, Eric Street, by the way, another familiar name, of course. Eric, a fan of Matt Connerton Unleashed and a big supporter of WMNH, says, "Have you guys ever met in person?" And no, we have not. We
we
are
have
different.
not. No.
Someday.
Someday, absolutely. But it's shocking with how well we work together that we
Yes.
haven't.
Absolutely. Oh, I want to say hello to, I'm not going to say his name on the air, but another friend of mine in the chat room who says, "Hi, my wise man, Matt C." So a certain individual who likes to call himself Roman Reigns and calls me his wise man.
Very nice.
Yes.
Are you gonna punch him in the testicular region and dig your fist in there?
I shall not do that to anyone ever, actually. And by the way, Melanie also says, "I do love sweaty men in spandex rolling on the ground together," as do we, Melanie. That is why professional wrestling is such a passion for us. But we did, there's Francine, a former
Yes.
ECW personality. She had said on her podcast, apparently, in remembering Sabu, that Sabu had told her that this was not his last match, which was being advertised as his retirement match, was in fact, he did not intend it to be a retirement match, and seemed to indicate that the promoter was advertising it as such, as a way of moving some more tickets. So this gentleman, Mr. Lauderdale, may have done something unscrupulous after all.
I mm,
And I'm
I'm
using the
torn.
word unscrupulous very loosely because
I'm so. The more I've thought about this, Matt, this just broke this morning, actually.
okay,
Which I shared it and we talked about it. This is a tough one for me because wrestlers all the time say, "This is it. This is the last hurrah."
yeah,
I mean, Ric Flair's had like 10 final matches.
sure,
Hulk Hogan's had multiple. So I mean, I don't think we're gonna get multiple out of Sting. I think
no,
Sting
Sting's
is
done.
done.
What is he, 65, 66? He's done.
Yeah, I mean, he's quitting. This year will be the last year he does the face paint at appearances.
Yeah,
So, little tidbit for fans: if you want your picture with Sting in full regalia, this will be the last year that you can get that.
yeah.
So, during her latest podcast tribute to Sabu, this is from ringsidenews.com. Francine revealed a private conversation she had with him right after the brutal no rope barbed wire match against Janela. "I saw him the next day at WrestleCon, and classic Sabu gives me a big hug, big kiss, grabs me and whispers in my ear, 'They said I'm retiring.' I never said I'm retiring. I'm not retiring," Francine said. Francine pressed Sabu about the rumors, jokingly asking, "Oh, are you going to pull a Terry Funk on us?" Sabu's response was blunt. "I don't know if they're trying to do ticket sales or what, but I'm not retiring. I'm going to keep wrestling." Francine recalled how exhausted Sabu looked after the match, but he was adamant that he was not done with wrestling. "He looked tired. But he was there. He was taking pictures and signing autographs. I just said, 'Are you okay?' And he goes, 'I'm okay. I'm okay.' But he didn't look okay to me," she added.
Mm.
Now the article does mention that there was a documentary about his final match that was already in production. Videographer Joey DeFalco, who was filming Sabu throughout WrestleMania weekend, shared that he felt eerie looking back on the footage now.
I
Um,
bet.
Look, I'm gonna wrap this up by saying I actually hadn't seen the match till these allegations came forth.
Yeah.
Then I went out of my way to watch the match. In
Yeah.
my opinion, the spot where Sabu, the spot in question, where he went out of the ring and hit the ground, he looked legitimately knocked out. He folded up like a board.
Okay.
The match should have been stopped at that moment. No
Yeah.
questions asked. The fact that Joey Janela, and this is my opinion, now I'm going to editorialize a bit. The fact that Joey Janela looks at it as a glorious moment that the match continued is very disturbing because it shouldn't have continued. It
Yes.
should have been over. The man's 60 years old. He
Well, how did it? I'm curious, Eric, because I haven't watched it, and I probably won't just because I don't like that kind of wrestling to begin with, but I mean, what like how did it continue? Like if he was legitimately knocked out,
well, I think
um,
there was. I'm going to guess that there was a planned spot for Sandman to come out, and they had that spot
okay,
happen there, and that brought him to. Now, did Sabu look worse or worse after that? I, he didn't look good throughout the entire match, so, in my opinion. So,
yeah,
What are we basing this off of? What are so
yeah,
yeah, I think he looked in my opinion, he looked a little worse.
yeah,
So there we go. That's my opinion.
yeah. Okay, okay. So one other thing, I guess, to kind of put a bow on it, we don't know. We don't have an autopsy report yet. So once we have that, we'll kind of have a better idea, right, of whether Kratom was responsible. I mean, it's possible that we might never know for sure,
Right.
but even the autopsy report will only give us evidence of what may have gone wrong, but will not
Yeah,
uh, be definitive in that sense. But it'll give us
you
a
know
better
what's
idea.
interesting is we Jenny brought this up. I didn't even think of this until Jenny mentioned it in a
Hmm.
conversation we had prior to the show. Because again, journalistic responsibility, I wanted us to kind of all be on the same page going into this. Um, she brought up brain bleed, and I tell you what, his
Yes.
head cracked that ground hard, and that ground was cement. Good golly, Miss Molly. Uh, if it's brain bleed, my heart does go out to Sabu's friends and family, but my heart also goes out
Yes. Of
to
course.
Game Change Wrestling because that could be such a detriment to an indie promotion. If they said he had an
Hmm.
aneurysm or whatever, or slow brain bleed, as Jenny said, mm, oh, I don't know how you recover from that.
I don't know. I mean, it's the professional wrestling business. I don't know that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of things get forgotten. I think people have short memories for some
I
things.
think they
Not for everything, but for
think
some things. You know what I mean?
had this controversy not occurred prior to the fact, I think it'd be a non-issue. But now that
Yeah.
this controversy is here and it's taken center stage, in regards to those celebrating and honoring this man's career. I think it has a big detriment. Big detriment.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well may. Very well may. Well, we'll continue to monitor, of course, the story. I think there will be, in addition to the autopsy, I have a feeling that there's going to be more people speaking up about whatever it is that they have to say to contribute to the subject in the aftermath of Sabu's death at the age of 60. But anything to add on that, or should we move on to the main event?
No, just I want to make one request to our listeners out
Yes,
there.
yes. Oh yeah, I will share that out too. But
Well,
yeah, go
that
ahead.
too. We do have a link to the GoFundMe page for Sabu's funeral. I'm going to editorialize here again. WWE, Paul Heyman, shame on you both. There shouldn't be a GoFundMe page for this man. You all should be footing the bill. What Sabu did for ECW, Paul Heyman should be contributing. Paul Heyman should be paying for the funeral. He certainly has the money to do so.
Well, in fairness, though, Eric, we don't know that he's not contributing.
Right. Okay. That is fair. But yeah. I'm saying the fact that there's a GoFundMe page is disgusting.
Which has raised about $49,000 so far.
Yes. So we'll share it out if you guys feel compelled, even like $5. Just go ahead, donate. I know I will be at some point donating because is a thank you for the memories he gave me. Yeah. But definitely we'll share that out, and
yes,
even your consideration is appreciated.
Yeah.
And finally, my just request, and this is a heartfelt request. If you're a pro wrestling fan, don't target Game Change Wrestling. Don't attack Brett Lauderdale. There are things that fall by the wayside that promoters don't always catch, don't always know till after the fact. And I'm going to give Brett Lauderdale the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah.
I don't think he would allow that to happen. And I do believe he is genuinely heartbroken over the death of his friend. And someone,
sure.
No matter what, if you've known someone for 20 years, you're going to have a bond with them. And no matter what, when they pass away or something tragic occurs to them, you're going to feel it. Mm-hmm. So please have a shred of decency. And just as much as we as fans are mourning, he is mourning as a friend and as an employer.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting it double. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well said.